Wilmette is broken up into four main areas. The four elementary schools of Wilmette: Central, Ramona, Harper, and Mackenzie. The neighborhoods are all a little bit different, and the home values can vary between these areas. Central is closest to the lake, has the highest average price of about $1.6 million over the last year. Mackenzie is just over $1 million. Harper is just over 1.2 million, and Ramona is just under 900,000. Ramona and Mackenzie have the highest amounts of homes that are under 800,000. So, if you want to look in Wilmette, all the schools are very, very highly ranked by niche.com. There's no big difference between the schools. They're all excellent. However, if you're further west in Ramona and Harper, it's much more convenient to the expressway, to the pool, to the junior high, to the middle school, and typically you can get very close to your elementary school where it's just a short walk. If you're further east, it's nice being by the lake, but for example, homes can be $500,000 to $1 million more for the same thing on the east side versus being further west. The main difference is being closer to the lake. So you have to decide if that's really worth it to you, or if you want a better value further west, in Harper or Ramona. It is interesting though, because some people will absolutely want to be close to the lake. That is just a huge priority. And others, don't really care about a 10-minute ride to the lake, because most people on the east side drive there, especially with young kids anyways. So really not that big a deal. You can walk to the lake on the east side, which you can't really do on the west side, but that's really the major difference. And there's some great conveniences of being further west, and you get a home for a much different price and sometimes a great value. So great things to keep in mind. Other thing to keep in mind is within each of these areas, there's pockets that are a little bit different than others. For example, in Central School, close to the lake, there's the Cage area, which is on the northern side, and that has a little bit higher home prices, bigger lots. In Mackenzie, there's Mackenzie Square, which is closest to the elementary school, and people talk about that pretty often. In Harper, you can be close to Thornwood Park, where there's baseball games. You can be in Kenilworth Gardens, which is kind of very isolated and quiet. Ramona, you can be right by the soccer fields, by the junior high and the middle school, and it has tremendous open space in Ramona, and places to play, the fields, walk to the park. It's really nice to be close to these things. So when you're looking at Wilmette, Wilmette is a highly ranked place by many sites to live. It's obviously beautiful. The lake, you're close to Northwestern, but the thing you want to keep in mind is what you want to pay for a house and what conveniences are your priority based upon your price range and what you prefer to spend. Specific example is I was just helping someone, and it was very obvious that the home prices were extremely different for very close to the same type of house between Central and Ramona. There's about a close to $1 million difference in new construction prices right now between Ramona and Central, which obviously is extremely significant for essentially the same home, just in a different location, mostly driven by the lake, really. Now, if you want to go to the airport, it's much easier on the west side. It'll save you 10 minutes, 15 minutes of drive time than being on the east side. So, obviously take a look at the type of housing stock you want, what you want. Just call, text, email, If you have any questions or need any help at all, I can give you a lot of insight into the differences between the areas, the value of the homes, and the type of value you can get when deciding between them. And keep in mind, the schools in Wilmette are kindergarten through 4th grade, and then all 4 schools feed into the middle school for 5th and 6th, and then a junior high for 7th and 8th. So that's how it works. And then there's a freshman campus for New Trier, and then sophomore, junior, senior campus on the east side. One more thing that you'll find in Wilmette is the streets on the central school area follow pretty much a grid-like pattern. Pretty simple. Mackenzie, the same. Harper's kind of interesting because there's a couple areas in Harper where the streets are extremely windy. They definitely are not a grid pattern. It's a little bit more interesting and kind of feels, secluded, or like you don't really know where you are as much if you're not familiar. And then Ramona is a combination. It's fairly grid-like for the most part, but there are a few streets that dead end and wind a little bit. But Harper has the least grid-like areas of all of Wilmette. So if you want something a little different, something you can look into.